Hello and welcome back. I hope you're ready for another episode of Tales from Helheim.
Hello and welcome back to another episode. This episode is called My Personal Haunting. Ever since I was a kid, I've lived in or been around haunted houses. And we've also come to realize that some people in our family are a little bit more sensitive than others to seeing these things. One day we just decided it's time to move back to an old state that we had lived in a while ago. So we all pack up our things, hop in our truck, and get moving. When we arrive at our new house, we find that it's built a little differently. And when you walk through the halls, there's a very eerie feeling, a very heavy feeling. And I start to notice that every time I fall asleep, I start having reoccurring nightmares. But they seem so real. The nightmares that happen are as follows. I wake up in a panic from a terrible dream that I had just had. And mind you, I'm still a very young kid. So I go to look to my parents for comfort. But on the way from my bedroom to the hallway that leads to their room, as I'm running through past the bathroom, getting into the dining room area, my mom is standing there. And as soon as I start to tell her what goes on, she grabs me by the throat and picks me up in the air and holds me there. Now, as you can imagine, I'm freaking out. I don't know what's going on, what to do, how this is even possible. Being my mom is not a very tall person. She's only 5 feet. And it's not like she goes to the gym or anything. So after that happens, I jolt out of bed again just to realize that it was a dream. So this time when I actually go to run down that same hallway, I'm a little more cautious. But I don't see my mother there. Now this dream would go on to happen every single night that we lived in that house. For many, many years. But then things started getting a little more interesting. At the foot of my bed was a back door with almost like a fogged glass window. So if someone was standing out there, you couldn't make out details, but you could see the shadow and the figure of a head. Well, every few nights or so, I'd wake up to a gentle knocking on that door. And I would pull the blanket from over my head, and I would see the figure of a person. At first I thought it was my dad trying to play just a cruel joke and just scare me. That was until one night it happened. And I figured, hey, if my dad's gonna prank me, he deserves to get hit by the door. So I go to the door quietly, and there's no lights on, so the inside of the house can't be seen. I grab the doorknob and I look at the window, and the figure is still there. I turn the doorknob and slam it open with so much force that it actually goes all the way to the outside wall of the house, hits it, and ricochets back and closes. Now, I don't know anyone that can move that fast from being pressed right against the glass to being able to not get hit by that door in less than a second. But it doesn't stop there. That nightmare just gets worse and worse. So instead of my mother grabbing me by the throat and picking me up, for some reason, there are now multiple. And when I mean multiple, there's about 5 or 6 of my mom in the kitchen when I run. One grabs me, passes me along to the next, and it goes until I reach the last one. When I do, the eyes turn pitch black, and I wake up. Every time it's just this intense stare by these soulless eyes. Looks like you're staring into a void of just darkness. And then one day, I wake up for the first time in months, if not years, I wake up from just a normal nightmare. And I can't bear to go to the dining room, but I do it anyways. But this time I take a shortcut. There's a little place in the dining room where you could jump down into the living room. So as soon as I get there, I jump, hit the ground, roll, and get up. And all I hear is thunder and see mass amounts of lightning outside coming through the windows. And I run into my parents' room, and they're not there. Now I start panicking. I don't know what to do. I'm just a little 6-year-old kid. Well, I'm looking on one side of my parents' bed, and all of a sudden I see this tail. And it's a tail with almost a point on the end, going from side to side on my parents' other side of the bed. And I see it start to come around the foot of the bed towards me on the opposite side. So what do? I jump on the bed and hide under the covers. I keep my face out so I can see where it's going. 1 second it's on one side of the bed, wagging away frantically, almost like an angry animal that's not getting what it wants. And then it moves and disappears, appears on the other side, appears at the foot, almost like it's going under the bed to get to the other side. Then it goes to the foot of the bed, and it rests its tail right on the foot of the bed. And at that point I start freaking out because I have no idea what's going on, so I'm screaming for my parents. And they don't appear, they don't come. And I still see this thing going. So I close my eyes, put my head down under the covers, and I start again. I just keep going. I don't know what else to do. So I just keep talking to myself under the covers. This isn't real, this isn't real. I move the covers, and what do I see? That thing is back. It never went away. Then all of a sudden, finally, I let out another scream from my parents, and I hear the front door shut. And they walk in. They were outside getting laundry that was hanging on a clothesline in this mass storm. I never was able to explain what I had seen that day, but I know I wasn't dreaming. I know I wasn't dreaming, and it feels like ever since that day, almost any house that we have lived in has had interesting activity. Is it the house, or is it the people?